I call the Honourable Member Sua William Sio. Malo sui fua.
Malo sui fua o fionga whongwhetalai. Greetings, Mr. Speaker. Let me just begin by saying some preliminary comments about the context that leads up to this bill. There's been quite a lot of debate this week, sir, about the asset sales, the public servants losing jobs, having to do more and more for less and less, the proposed $1 billion deficit or cut from the public service, which is going to put a lot of pressure on people.
Point of order, the Honourable Member Sam Lutuinga.
I think you know where I'm going with this. This has got nothing to do with this bill, this context that he's going down. He's obviously making some political statements about events unrelated to this bill. I suggest the member comes back to the bill.
Well, while the member is technically correct, the member often is allowed a little bit of leeway in making counter-objections to previous speakers, but I'm sure that the member is coming closer to the bill. I call the Honourable Member Sua William Sio.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was bringing the context of what's happening in the community. People are unemployed, people are being squeezed left, right and centre, and so what I'm saying, sir, that given that context, this bill here, well, the context really was people are suffering under this government's leadership. And so, with job losses, absolutely. And all that this government has been able to come up with is the sale of state assets. And so, when I then look at this bill, sir, the Fair Trading Soliciting on behalf of Charities Amendment Bill, sir, I have to say that I agree with Amy Adams, I agree with Michael Woodhouse for bringing this bill forward, because when you consider of the wider community who are suffering, sir, as a result of this government, it is really, I'm hopeful that this bill gives some light support to the wider community. Mr. Speaker, and I am trying to be charitable, Mr. Speaker, it has been my experience that communities such as Māngere, communities such as in Manukau, in South Auckland, those who are suffering the most under this government, often contribute the most, sir, to charities. It could be $5, it could be $10, it could be $20, sir, but those people in Māngere, South Auckland, Manukau consistently contribute to charities year in, year out. Now, look, admittedly, it could have a family out in Remuera, in the leafy suburbs, who contribute $1,000, but it probably in a year. And what's $1,000 if you've got $50 million in the bank account? But for people who are struggling to make ends meet, $5, $10, $20 contribution is a significant amount. And most people who make that kind of contribution, sir, expect that that $5 go directly to those charities, for those people who are seeking the donation. And that's been our expectation. So what I'm saying, sir, and I know the members don't like it, all I'm saying is that I acknowledge Amy Adams for bringing this legislation. It also makes you wonder, sir, why this bill isn't a government bill. Because I think it just goes against the grain of doing something that benefits the community. So I'm saying, sir, that I'm particularly pleased that this particular bill does now enable the full disclosure of how people's donations are spent. Because it is of concern, sir, when you see 25% of money donated to these charities are kept by those who are raising the funds. That's, or more, and more in those cases. And so I'm hopeful, sir, that this bill does provide some confidence to communities such as ours who regularly donate a huge percentage of their income. And you have to look, sir, they're earning less and less since this government has come into power. So $5, $10, $20 is a significant amount. I want to say that I also share the concerns raised by the New Zealand First member, and in particular with the new clause 28A. I'm glad that it seems like this bill is, when it was first put in, has been completely rewritten by the committee. And I note that my colleague Leanne Dalziel was the chair of that committee, a wonderful chair, and no doubt, probably because of her leadership, that we've had this bill completely rewritten. I'm pleased, I'm also concerned, sir, that the committee received submissions from large charities who were, as I read the report, seem to oppose this particular bill. Unlike my members on the other side who simply just follow blindly Mr. Key and don't read that when they sell those state assets, they are actually selling Aotearoa and the rest of the future for our young people. So it concerns me, sir, that you have large charities, reputable charities, who submitted against the bill. And so for me, I think it is important that this bill passes to try and give confidence to those people who are contributing to charities. I'm also wondering, sir, why the regulation-making powers in this bill, and I'm pleased to see that the Minister of Consumer Affairs is able to make recommendations about the orders of the Council on this, but I'm wondering why that particular Minister is still sitting on his hands and has not done anything about the loan sharks that they have continued to say that they would do something about. So look, whilst I'm appreciative of the bill, I do still say, sir, that it should have been a government bill, but I know how difficult that would have been for this government to bring a bill that would support communities, because the track record of this government so far, sir, has been to kick the community in the guts, not give a damn, and has consistently lived a pattern of making promises that they could not deliver, have no intention of deliver. Take, for example, the 170,000 people, that the jobs that they promised, none of that was kept at all. So, look, I recommend to this House the Fair Trading Soliciting on behalf of Charities Amendment Bill, and commend Amy Adams for having the courage to proceed with this bill despite any opposition that government may have had. Thank you very much.
Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Mark Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.